boom, 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 boom. Yeah, all right, here we go. We're about to start. Hello and welcome to another episode of MovieFellas, a podcast where some millennials with little to no knowledge talk about films, both classic and current. I am your host, Matt Rosenberg, and with me as always is my co-host, the one, the only. It's Haste, guys. He's
Hi, everybody.
back.
I'm back again, as always.
He's back, baby. So, Haste, why don't you just enlighten our two listeners on on how what you were eating beforehand and what we were looking at for about 20 minutes before the show.
We're looking at Nature Box snacks.
And they look pretty great.
Yeah, and I'm sitting here eating dried cranberries again.
Again, it's his signature snack. It's the official Haste snack of the podcast.
Haste approved.
Dried cranberries, or craisins, as they are called by the cool people.
I think one of my favorite
me.
things to do, honestly, with craisins is to get like a handful of them, just throw them in your mouth, drink like a big gulp of water, and then chew, because then it kind of rehydrates them a little bit.
Juice. It's like cranberry juice. You
essentially
just drink cranberry juice, Haste. You're a madman.
Cranberry juice is really tart, though, compared to dried craisins.
Yeah, I guess so. Okay.
You lose a bit of that
literally
tartness
were
with
looking
the
at we
sweetness.
were like, dude, this is some sweet stuff, and we're like, sriracha roasted
either.
cashews.
This is not a sponsorship
that looks great.
either.
This is not a sponsorship.
We need to make that known.
Not nearly
We are not
enough
sponsored.
people. Not nearly enough people listen to this for us to have a sponsor.
I know.
All right, Haste. It's 10. It's DAs. It's Dees. It's Dieshi. It's she. It's 1010. We've done a decade of podcasting. That's where we're both.
I was
old,
wondering where
weary,
you're going
and
with
old
that.
men.
Now I understand.
No wonder you're bald. We've done 10 years of this podcast. No, guys, this is our 10th episode of the MovieFellas podcast. So,
Well, technically, I've only been here for 7,
that's right.
8.
So it's the real 10th.
How does
episode.
the math work?
I don't know. You were a guest on our third episode. Third, that's right. And then you stayed on from there. So it's no wonder you're bald. Yeah, who knows? We went to Bible college, okay? Yeah, I know.
lost my hair in high
You
school.
came to college bald, like
I know, right?
Yeah, and you got listeners. He looks a lot better bald. Just in case anyone's wondering.
I was about to throw that out there. I was like, wait, we need to establish this. I look way better without hair.
Yes, that is very true. It's so true. Oh man. Anyway,
Kinda
Nature
scary.
Box sounds pretty great, even though most of the stuff looks really expensive, and I could
That's
probably
a shout
make it
out
for a lot.
How about you?
Yeah.
How about you guys hit us up on the sponsorship?
Yeah, that's right. Nature Box. We know you're listening.
Balls in your court.
Yeah. There you go.
I guess you could say the nature balls in your court.
The Nature Ball. Oh! Yeah, that was pretty good. I got that. That was pretty good.
Actually, didn't make any sense.
News? No, it didn't. It really didn't, because a box and a ball are two very, very different things.
Sports.
But they both start with B, so that's that's what sport do you play with a box in? I guess you play sports in a box.
Yeah, technically.
Like Foursquare and
I mean, technically, you play a lot of sports in a box. They're just different shaped boxes. Like basketball is kind of a rectangular box.
Also, the buildings are, I guess, in some sense, like every building, kind of like every room. It's kind of like.
Is that pretty much saying we live our life in boxes?
Both.
Welcome to the Existentialist Podcast. I will be your host, Haste, and with me is my co-host, Maddie
We just
Rosenberg.
got real philosophical real quick. I'm in a box technically right now. I'm in a glass case of emotion. Your life is a box, listeners.
That's
Wake up.
That's going down the rabbit hole with some movie references.
Yep. Wake up, sheeple. All right? Stop living in the cave. Stop looking at the shadows of the puppets with the fire and break out of the cave and see the light. All right? Talking about Plato's allegory of the cave in case anyone's... All right, let's hear some movie news.
Yeah, let's kick it into some news.
Oh, man. Okay, so Peter Jackson revealed some concept art for Mortal Engines movie. Have you ever heard of Mortal Engines?
Can't say I have.
Okay, neither had I until this moment. Apparently, he announced it back in 2009 that he was going to be doing this, and it's been like a long process. He's cast a few characters. I know he cast Hugo Weaving in one of the roles, but I didn't know what it was until I was looking up movie news today for this podcast episode. It's a quartet. It's a book series by Philip Reeves. And it's a steampunk kind of post-apocalyptic world where humans have taken to living on moving cities. So it kind of reminded me, I guess, of a lot of post-apocalyptic things, except not many places move. It didn't remind me of anything. Anyway, actually, you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of, what's the game? What the series
Fallout?
that you love? No.
Fallout. Bioshock.
No. BioShock, yeah, the prequel one that came out, it kind of reminded, like, the concept art kind of reminded me of that.
Oh, of BioShock Infinite, the one that takes place in the sky?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I can get behind it.
Anyway, so check out that concept art. It looks cool. It's coming sometime. I don't know when. Anyway, Peter Jackson's directing it, and I think it's his first stuff since the Hobbit stuff's come out. So that's pretty cool. It looks fun. I'm excited for it.
Peter Jackson's kind of a weird director because he did Lord of the Rings,
which is one of the most critically acclaimed trilogies of all time. The Return of the King winning 11 Academy Awards, tied for the highest with Titanic. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. But then he did Lovely Bones after that.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, he did a movie called Lovely Bones, which is where...
What's that about?
That's where a girl gets murdered and her ghost helps her dad solve her murder.
Ooh.
And
you think the ghost would just be like, hey, like, it was this guy. Like,
yeah.
Like, hey, it was definitely that guy.
Yeah.
Okay, great. End of the movie. The movie's like 4 minutes. Like,
roll credits.
First 2 minutes, she dies. Second 2 minutes,
now?
He's like, yeah, that's like... and then she comes back from the dead, and she's a ghost. And she's like, don't you like my lovely bones? And then they both look at the camera, and then the credits roll.
That's how The Sixth Sense should have gone, too.
Yep. I'm
Bruce
telling
Wilson,
you, man, that's
Haley
how it
Joel
ended.
Osment just look at the camera and are like, I guess you could say he's using his sixth sense.
Sixth sense.
They put their sunglasses on and it does the CSI scream in the background.
And they look at the camera, and it just fades out.
Why are we not directors in Hollywood? This is gold.
give us $10 million, Hollywood.
We will make
$9 million of that will go to our salaries
and to my addiction with cranberries.
You know what? This is what we'll do. All right, Hollywood, just get us a sponsorship with Nature Box, and then buy like 20 million Nature Boxes, and then you'll be supporting that company, and we'll get like 10 million. So. Win-win. I don't know why this hasn't already happened. Okay.
Man. Okay, next piece of news. We're getting really off topic today.
This is the greatest. It's Diaz, man. It's 10. It's 1010, all right? We've done a decade of podcasting. X. We are mavericks. We are connoisseurs of podcasting. Yeah, it's X.
Is this Top Gun?
Yeah.
Knew it.
All right. Wonder Woman has some early critic reviews that have come out, and apparently people are saying it's really good. And
they said that about Batman versus Superman too.
Okay, that was mostly fan reaction, and that's why I was like, well, I don't know about this, but quite a few like professional reviewers have actually come out saying, hey, like this is good, like this is pretty good. So I have a little more faith in it. It still doesn't have an aggregate on Rotten Tomatoes or on any other site. So I don't know. It could still be terrible. And even then, some movies that have great ratings, I don't exactly love. I don't think I like Sicario, but I don't think it's that good. Yeah, I said it.
I think I saw Sicario.
Fight me. It's good. It's just not. I don't.
Didn't everybody like drool over that movie?
It's good, and I understand that it's like people appreciate it for what it is. Like,
I think critics like drooled all over that movie.
Oh yeah, it got nominated for so many awards, blah blah blah, and it's good. It's just not. It's not like I don't know.
It's not the Revenant.
I wasn't into it. No, I don't love the Revenant.
The Revenant got boring after the first time of watching it.
I could not. I don't think I could watch it again, and not because it's a heavy watch, but because it does drag quite a bit.
But if you got to give it one thing, which it did win,
Mm-hmm.
for was the visuals.
Yeah, it had spectacular
If it hadn't won,
cinematography.
I probably would just give up on the Academy.
What were you talking
Because
about? DiCaprio as for his portrayal, or
no, for the cinematography for the movie.
oh, did it win that?
Mm-hmm. Dude,
Yeah,
the wide shots in that movie of just like the Canadian like landscape were
right.
gorgeous.
Yeah, it was amazing, and it was all natural light. That's why it took so long to film. And there was, I think, one shot where they hung up like Christmas lights around a campfire to get like more lighting. That was the only thing that they used, though.
Huh,
Everything else was
interesting.
natural lighting, which is awesome
Yeah, that's
because
crazy.
that's what lighting is imitating is natural light. So
Mm-hmm.
okay, so Patty Jenkins is a great director. There's a lot of talent behind this. It seems like so. I'm down for it. I hope it's good. Like that's the thing.
It
I
kind of
was
looks
having
like the DC equivalent of Captain America from just the previews.
yeah, that's what a lot of people have said, which is it's a kind of a period piece, which I get. Yeah, we have a friend, Drew, and he's
mentioned Drew
one
before.
of my oldest friends. Yes, he thinks that everything DC does is just amazing. Well, that's wrong. All right, everyone can have their opinions, and that's fine, but he's wrong. Okay, great guy, but he's incorrect when it comes to movies. And I'm like, hey man, I heard that Wonder Woman's actually pretty good. He's like, yeah, every DC movie is. I'm like, he's like,
Wait.
haven't you seen Green Lantern? I'm like, I don't like. I'm like, I did. I've been trying to erase it from my
Did
mind.
he genuinely like that movie?
Since I don't know, probably. Anyway,
If he did, man.
here's the thing: we're both Marvel fans, but I haven't read a ton of DC comics, but I like the character. I just want a good movie. Like that's the thing. Like I don't want to hate anything. Like I love the Dark Knight trilogy. It's a great trilogy. Like I want to like something. I go into a movie wanting to enjoy myself. So
Oh yeah, I've gone
I
into
hope it's
almost
good.
every DC movie hoping to see something amazing.
And I've watched Batman v Superman 3 times. The only reason
Still
I
can't get
watched
into
it
it?
more than once is because I've listened to like podcasts where they were talking about how it's not good, but I'm like, yeah, but maybe this time I'll see something that I'm just not realizing. No, you know what? It's not good, okay? It's not a good movie. It doesn't make any sense. And that kind of leads us into our next bit of news, which is it's kind of a really sucky bit of news.
Oh, it's if it's what I think you're going to talk about, it's really sad.
Yeah. Joss Whedon is taking over reshoots and the final draft of Justice League. Is this what you're talking about?
Yep.
Yeah.
The reason why he took over.
Reason why, sorry, I don't know why I'm like
There's a frog in your throat.
I don't have the swine flu, I promise. That I know about. I never had it.
Did you eat some bad bacon?
No, I was before the podcast. See, I like to switch it up, except for my OJ. I like my OJ, but I like to switch it up. So I was having an egg sandwich,
Fish.
and it was with some potato bread, toasted, some butter. Yeah, I love it. Egg whites though. Don't give me those egg yolks. All right. Joss Whedon is taking over reshoots for the final draft of Justice League.
Mm-hmm.
Reason being is Zack Snyder's daughter committed suicide. So sad and tragic. She was
Our
like 20.
condolences.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, she was
thoughts,
close to our age.
prayers.
That's what's scary about it.
Yeah, she was real young, and apparently it happened a little while ago.
About 2 months ago, I think the story said.
Is that what it was? Okay.
Yeah, I think it was a couple months ago.
Yeah, and apparently
Which
he
is
wanted to
weird.
try and continue, but he's like, I can't do this. I need
Outside
to
of
spend time with
that,
my
this is the
family."
first we've heard of it.
Yeah, yep,
Like,
and it's
that
been a
wasn't-
while.
Like, no one publicized it. No one, knew.
Yeah, and maybe they did that out of respect, which I have hesitancy to say because there's no respect.
It's the
in
media, we're talking about here.
Yeah.
No offense.
He tried to
Because technically
continue.
we are the media to a degree.
Yeah, those
Now.
9. We still haven't gotten to double digits, man, on our YouTube subscribers.
Someday.
I'm waiting because I'm hoping that with this episode,
Being number 10.
we'll get there, man. I am hoping. Anyway, our condolences and thoughts, prayers with the family.
Yeah, most definitely.
It's obviously terrible, but it seems to be in good hands with Joss Whedon taking over.
And
they
I
seem
just
to
read a
have really
story
different.
on Facebook that said he had already taken over or was already working on
Really?
Justice League a little bit before.
Yep, that's what I was gonna say. Apparently, he was involved in the process beforehand.
Hmm.
Maybe kind of guiding them because with the reception that the DC films had been getting, versus Joss Whedon having made Avengers and having kind of really kicked the Marvel universe into gear.
Oh yeah.
So again,
Hey
good.
man,
Yeah, I know. I'm just out of
get some
control,
water.
guys. It's just, I'm out of control. Um, it's obviously terrible, but it seems to be in good hands. But again, thoughts, prayers. Go out to that family because that does suck. That's just, man.
Yeah, can't even
All right.
imagine what he's going through right now.
Yeah. Okay. Let's continue on to news that will just confuse you.
I'm
All right.
really confused.
So ready? Boss Baby 2 has a 2021 release date. Boss Baby 2, Boss Baby 2, Boss Baby. Who saw a pair? Okay, so I saw this on Screen
Apparently, it
Rant.
got really
Maybe
well received.
it was mixed to positive. I think.
That's the surprising part.
Yeah, it had a great voice cast, 52%, so mixed. It had a great voice cast: Alec Baldwin, Steve Buscemi, Jimmy Kimmel, Lisa Kudrow, Tobey Maguire. The music was done by Hans Zimmer, so I bet the score was great. Anyway, I remember seeing things for this and being like, why? Just stop. Just
At
don't.
what point did this look like a good idea to
No
anybody?
one wanted it. But here's the thing. All right, so they spent $125 million on animating this. So the animation's probably pretty great. It's DreamWorks, it's that style, but it looks pretty good. It made $468 million, and
Holy
so that's
cow.
so generally you double a budget, so $250 million towards Boss Baby. I just can't. I don't know. What,
Yeah, and it made
it almost doubled. So
that's the crazy part.
of course they're gonna make another one. So I saw that and I'm like, what? Who wants to see Boss Baby? Apparently, I guess it's because all right, so you go to the movies. Picture you're a sprightly young lad of 7 years old, right? And your mom or your grandma's
younger.
Of 6.5 years old. And your mom or your grandma's like, all right, son, or all right, grandson, what do you we're gonna go see a movie. What do you want to see? And it's like, okay, Guardians with all of the foul language and like humor and it's not really appropriate for a kid that young. And then what else is out now? A horror movie, and then
There were kids younger than that.
Alien, yeah.
Theater.
Oh, really?
For Guardians, yeah, there was a little girl that was probably about 4 or 5 sitting behind me.
Well, yeah, okay. It's not really. It's not really that inappropriate. Yeah.
Because she was really loud the entire movie.
And then you have Alien
offense,
Covenant, right? And so obviously they see there's an animated movie out. Of course, that's what they're gonna take their kid to see,
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm sure there are some funny laughs because he poops in his diaper and then he's like, I have to take a phone call. But can you change me? And I bet. Okay, so whoever's seen Boss Baby, I haven't seen it and I have no plans to watch it. I bet beyond a shadow of a doubt that joke is in there. I have no doubt in my mind. Someone please tell me, because email in MovieFellasPod or tell me on Twitter at MovieFellasPod. Tell me please, because I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that joke is in there somewhere.
If memory serves correct, he hands his older brother a stack of money. It's bring me some sushi.
Okay. Yeah, that's.
I'm not even.
That
joking.
sounds about right. That sounds about right. Tom McGrath directed this. What else has he directed? Let's see. Not animator, director. Madagascar. Oh, Madagascar was fun. Madagascar 2, Escape from Africa. Nope, not good. Megamind. I actually really like Megamind.
Megamind is probably one of my favorite Pixar movies.
Yeah, it's so good. It's not Pixar. It's DreamWorks.
Yeah, you know what I meant. DreamWorks.
Yeah, okay. All right, he did Megamind and Madagascar. Megamind's hilarious. Okay, so maybe it's not her. But I bet That joke is in there. I have no doubt in my mind. All right, let's
Jeez.
move on. Okay, this is old news, but we only do the podcast every other week. So Tom Hardy will be playing Venom in Sony's Venom movie.
I think that was only earlier this week that was announced.
No, it was late last week. I think it was like Friday last week. Okay, but you ready for this? It isn't connected to the Spider-Man, Marvel Cinematic Universe. Sony's an idiot. Okay,
yeah, they really are.
I'm sorry. Okay, this is what's you ready? All right, this is what Sony does, and this is my rant for the week. Besides the stupid Boss Baby thing. All right.
Welcome to Weekly Rants with Matt Rosenberg, where he gripes about everything in a movie.
Absolutely. All right. Okay, so this
or
is
everything a company does in regards to a movie.
Amazing Spider-Man 2. There are some really good elements in it. But it's really convoluted because they wanted to add everything in there. And they had a 2-minute scene of a guy walking down a hallway so they could show the vulture wings. And so they can show the Dr. Octopus arms. And so they can show the Goblin glider. And so they can show whatever, right? And so they're like, oh, we're going to set up this whole universe. But guess what? No one wants to see the universe because you haven't established it. And then the Rhino, what was Paul Giamatti? Oh, it was so bad. It was, oh my gosh. And Paul Giamatti's a great actor. Okay, Sony can't do crap.
This should be a new permanent segment. I love this.
But Sony, they mess everything up. Like the trailers for Spider-Man Homecoming look great. But they've revealed every single plot element of the entire movie.
Oh, yeah.
We know what happens. According to the trailers. If you haven't seen them, don't watch them. Spoiler alert, real quick. He literally comes back from Civil War. Something happens. Iron Man's like, you don't deserve the suit. He takes the suit away, and then he tries to be Spider-Man without the new suit, and then something happens, and then he makes the old suit that he had, and then he gets his new suit back, and then they fly off into the sunset. Stop telling us, oh my gosh, seriously, Sony, you're gonna screw this up. Actually, it could be good. Okay, it could be good.
And I also need to make a statement to make it known that Marissa Tomei looks great in this movie.
She does. She is a very attractive woman. She should be a Bond girl. I'm just saying, Sony screws up just about everything they do. They do some great stuff,
true.
But they also mess up so much stuff, it annoys the crap out of me. It's just let them, you know what? All right. In Sony and Marvel, I know you're both listening. This is what you do, all right? Sony, sell Spider-Man and all of the stuff you own that has to do with Spider-Man, Venom and Mysterio and Vulture and whoever back to Marvel for $30. Okay? Because you're not going to make any more than that on this Venom movie because no one's going to see it and you're going to market it terribly. And guess what? Sony doesn't own any products as far as marketing goes. So all of the stuff that they sell in toy stores and stuff all goes to Marvel. Just $30 and a pack of Mentos. And that's, you know what?
And let Fox can keep the X-Men because I'm over the X-Men at this point.
Yeah, I actually heard Legion was really, really good.
Yeah, but I'm kind of getting tired of the whole let's make everything a TV show kind of world we're starting to live in.
Well, it's hard to keep up with everything. We'll get into it in what you're watching, mate, but I just finished.
Same. I've got some stuff.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which it actually ended really, really well.
I know you had complained a bit there that it got rough for a while.
There were a few episodes where it kind of dragged, but and that's the thing. TV shows don't need to go on as long as they do. I'm sorry, they just don't. Give me 13 episodes maximum for a network show, and then give me 10 for a Netflix show. Anyway, Sony's dumb. Take my advice. $30 in a pack of Mentos. Hashtag Sony give Marvel. Actually, hashtag Marvel give Sony $30 and a pack of Mentos. That's the hashtag for this week.
Ball of web is in your court.
Yep, there you go. Okay.
Now that we've got our emotions out of our system.
All right, you ready to talk about Alien Covenant, Haste?
Oh, boy, am I.
Okay, so Alien Covenant.
Hold on. It's that time of the podcast again. It's Haste's Abridge movies.
No, it's I believe we called it Give me that summary. Hasty.
Is that what we called it? I don't remember.
I thought so. I don't know.
All right. Well, anyways, taking it away. This kind of is a repeat of Guardians of the Galaxy. We find that David, the original android from Prometheus, becomes the deadliest dad in the galaxy and starts recreating aliens using people as
Oh, hey,
pods.
spoilers, by the way.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's a little late for that, but I'm just gonna keep rolling. I'm gonna pretend like that never happened.
Yeah,
But
keep
yeah, we
going.
got him using people as embryos essentially, which is great. And people just make dumb decisions like they always do in these movies. People explode, people die, people get their faces eaten off,
They look
and
over a squirming pile of uh, alien animals, and they think, "What can go wrong?" Even though I have no face mask on or anything.
they find this planet and they're like, "Man, what could possibly go wrong?"
Okay, so give all right. So give the listeners a basic summary. What is it? So the ship.
The ship is the Covenant,
All right, so
which
the
is where
ship
the movie gets
Covenant.
its
Yeah,
title.
yeah,
And essentially, it's the crew for the Covenant, which is made up of, I think, 10 couples, maybe. It's like 5, 6, maybe 8 or 9 couples. I don't know.
yeah. You got the
It's,
crew, and then you got. Keep
well, here,
going.
I'll just keep going. Okay, so they were sent out by, it wasn't Wayland Corp, was it? Are they
No,
like, they're
it's
sent out
just a
by, like,
colony. Yeah, it's in my. I don't know if it's the
there's some like
government or.
colonizing organization
Yeah. Uh huh.
to go to this planet that they've pad marked, pre-marked way in advance before leaving.
Mm.
And they've got a crew of like the 10 or so. Then they've
Yeah.
got cargo of 2,000 like fully grown humans all in cryosleep.
Mm-hmm.
And then like I think it was 1,000 embryos in
Yeah, it was quite a bit.
cryo freeze as well,
Yeah,
which is weird if you think about it.
it was a kind of a weird. Yeah, 2,000
Yeah,
embryo. Yeah, 2,000 colonists and 2,000 embryos on board.
yeah, okay. And they get a distress signal when they're fixing their ship. That turns out to be, actually, we'll talk about that later. They get a distress signal that leads them to a planet that actually perfectly matches, and they feel would be a better fit for them than the planet they had originally set out to embark to.
Right.
So the captain, making an executive decision, is like, okay, we'll go there instead of our original
What
destination.
could possibly go
Yeah,
wrong?
again, what could possibly go wrong? And they end up all pretty much dying.
Yep.
Rip.
That's yeah. That's. I mean.
That's it.
Yeah. So they get this. There's a solar storm that happens, right? That wakes them up and kills some of the crew, including the captain and the new captain.
James Franco.
Yeah, James Franco, who probably got
Which,
$1 billion
thank goodness,
for being in this.
he was not in that movie very long.
He
really
was,
wasn't.
The part of his that he was in the movie was an iPad video.
Yeah, and they had that video or the picture of him dressed as Jesus.
Right, and also his body was burnt up and shot out of the space
Into space
shuttle. Yeah, so they get hit by a solar storm, and that's what causes them to get a signal, and the signal is a song being sung, and so it's like it's John Denver, right?
Country Roads.
Yeah, and so they're like, that's an Earth song. That's like we have to go there. Like this is someone who needs help, and then they realize, okay, all the signifiers are there for like it to be great for human life, so they decide to go there. Overall, Haste. What did you think of it?
I thought it was great.
Okay.
I like we've talked about many a times here at MovieFellas podcast. We both started our trek in the alien universe with Prometheus, which I feel gives us kind of more of like that. I really like this kind of vibe because we both enjoyed Prometheus so much, and this is a direct follow-up to Prometheus in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just such a good movie. It didn't overdo anything. Granted, yes, it raised as many questions, if not more, than Prometheus did. But I feel like we're going in a direction where maybe at some point we're going to get all the questions we have answered.
Okay.
Or maybe at some point it just kind of clicks that maybe all the answers we need are hidden in the old Alien movies.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's something I kind of just popped into my head to think of.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, it was just such a visually stunning movie.
Yeah, it really was.
Also, one quick footnote before we get too far into this:
Uh-huh.
if you go from Prometheus straight into to Alien Covenant, there's going to be a confusion about something that happens. They released a like 4 or 5 minute video on YouTube that's kind of like a middle of the road kind of
See,
thing.
I never watched that.
Yeah, I
What
hadn't
was
either
that
until after
about?
the fact. It's pretty much the scene where David goes to the planet of the creators, which is where they actually end up
Right.
landing, and it's the scene of him bombing the city.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't
So
that in the
that's
movie?
yeah. No, we get like a flashback, partial flashback to
Okay.
that, but um, I think that was
Okay.
like the whole thing in a nutshell.
Okay. But he tells everyone, "Oh, it was accidentally released. You know, this virus was accidentally released in this,
Hmm.
how would you put it? Organism, this
The black goo.
yeah, it's like a violent organism that turns into the aliens or whatever.
Hmm.
So okay, so you really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it as well. Great visuals, great cast. I thought the story was interesting. I said this in my review, guys. If you want to watch kind of a quick review of what I thought of it, you can check it out on MovieFellas. We'll get into that later. We changed our name from MovieFellas Podcast to MovieFellas because I'm gonna enter into doing some reviews and not just podcast stuff.
And maybe at some point I'll start doing some of that stuff
Yeah,
as well.
you should, Haste. Do some of the
I
heavy
will.
lifting, why don't you?
Nah. Do you even lift, mate?
Do you even lift, mate? M8. Anyway, okay, so I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a bit familiar. Like once it started,
Oh
you're
yeah,
like,
there
okay,
is
you know exactly what's
nothing.
gonna happen.
There is
Yeah.
nothing new in this movie that Alien hasn't done before.
Yeah,
But at the same time, it doesn't do it in a way that makes it bad.
boring. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I thought visually it was beautiful. Any Ridley Scott film is. I didn't think it was quite as interesting as Prometheus because I feel like the world felt more alien in Prometheus, whereas Alien.
Oh, got him.
But I thought it was. We are the best podcasters in this
We really
universe, in the known universe. We are the apex podcasters. We're both going to turn into xenomorphs and just podcast it up. Okay. And just gladiate it up, if you know what I mean.
Oh,
all right,
gosh, please
Ridley
no.
Scott reference. Everyone knows who's listening to this podcast knows I like Ridley Scott. So, there are a lot of fans of this franchise who do not like this movie and do not like Prometheus. But again, we both started with Prometheus, and since then I have seen Alien and Aliens, and I'll get into what you watching, mate, about Alien 3 because I didn't finish it. But
you can't please everybody, honestly,
but
unfortunately.
no, I still think it's a good movie. It's exciting. It's enjoyable.
Honestly, probably one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie is at the start when oh gosh, what's the other cyborg's name?
I forgot his name too. Hold on, William maybe. William.
It starts. I don't know. Help me, Matt. Quick, look it up. Quick while we panic. Okay, but the scene at the start of the movie where Walter, there we go. I knew something with the W. Where Walter is told by Mother, who is the AI built into the ship, that it's time to open the solar panels and charge the batteries. That scene with the solar panels opening up was so
really
freaking
cool.
neat.
Yeah, super.
And then when they're going down to the planet and you see the giant storm they're flying through, and the shots from the cabin looking down to the planet where the storm is going on, there's just nothing bad in this movie to look at. It all is just
really pretty.
It's all visually stunning.
Yeah, absolutely. And when they get there and they land, it's obviously it's filmed on our planet, but it looks it does look
looks
alien.
like another planet.
Did it again. Boom.
Dang,
Who's the boss,
man,
baby, now?
Please no.
Yeah, so I agree. Yeah. I think that the visuals are one of the strongest parts of this film.
Oh, yeah. Without a doubt. And the xenomorphs look great, too.
Dude, this is the best we've seen them, man.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
And
also, the neomorph, the white one, that was really cool and really menacing.
disturbing.
Yeah, I thought that was even more horrifying than the xenomorph.
Where it got like its like small little circular mouth in the front that just looks so wrong, which I think it was supposed to.
Also, I heard someone point out like in the beginning, it starts out with David and Peter Whalen, which is played by Guy Pearce, who's the creator of David. He is like, David goes, he's talking, Peter Whalen's talking to David, and David goes, but wait, you'll die and I'll continue to live. Why are you my master? Why are you? And it's like, you should have shut him down right there, dude.
Oh, yeah. At that moment, you just knew he was like
nope,
too smart for your own good.
Someone didn't listen to Jeff Goldblum in Jurassic Park, where he's like, we're so busy figuring out if we could create it and figured out if we should create it. Guess what? You shouldn't have created it. Because David was designed to be able to create like more of an actual artificial intelligence. Whereas they realized that was...
Which they did make a good move and made him stupid going down the line.
Yeah, and that's Walter. Walter is more conformative. He can't create. And there's actually a really, really cool scene with David and Walter. Speaking of, there were those scenes between the two of them. There were some really cool and really interesting scenes and really weird scenes, like odd, like some like the God complex type deal, you know. Yeah, go ahead.
The one where he quotes Ozymandias.
Yeah.
Outside looking at like the ruined city was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Kind of twisted though.
Yeah, and he does. Go ahead.
The scene where what was it? Where he teaches Walter how to play music.
Right.
Where he pulls the song out of him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
is pretty interesting.
Yeah, there are some, and there's I don't want to. Well, yeah, we'll continue on to the cast in a second. In case viewers don't know, I do overall and I do cast, plot, and visuals. Who cares? Guess what? We're madmen. No one can pull us down. All right, we're podcasters extraordinaire. The part where David is walking through the ship. And the score is just playing. He tells Mother to play a score, and he's just like,
"Oh my gosh,
I own this." Like he says, "Play." What is it?
Ozymandias ascends to heaven or something like that.
Entry into Valhalla. It's not Valhalla because Ozymandias is in Greek mythology.
I think it is entry to Valhalla.
Is it really? Okay.
I think so.
Anyway, so. It's just I thought that was such a cool scene because it's like he's such like a terrible person, but
and in that scene it just kind of makes you sick because you realize what he's doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're just like, oh no, please no, oh no, not this.
Yeah,
that scene kind of had some. I know I've talked about it a lot before, but it kind of had some throwbacks to Life in that ending. Kind of similar.
Really? Okay, I still haven't seen Life. I need to check that out. Okay. All right. Okay. So let's continue on. Cast. What do you think of them?
I didn't know any of them by name prior to the movie,
aside from Fassbender, I'm guessing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I knew the what's his name? The guy that played Tennessee.
Danny McBride.
Yeah, I knew Danny McBride.
Hot Rod.
I knew him by look, not by name,
right.
Just because he's not really in a whole lot of movies anymore.
No, he did a great job. He was one of my favorite parts of the movie because he was like.
I think everybody did a great job in that movie, though.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. There were no weak links. I don't think. In this movie, I think there were standouts, but I don't think there were weak links.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most definitely.
So
no one did a bad job.
Yeah, who stood out to you the most?
I don't want to give it to Fassbender.
Was it Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, or was it Hot Rod?
Fantastic Beasts, probably.
Yeah, she was good.
I can't really give it to Fassbender just because, I mean, he was like 2 roles, so.
I'm gonna give it to Fassbender.
I feel like if you pick Fassbender, you have to pick one of the 2 roles he played. You can't pick both.
Yeah, I guess that's not really fair because he did. It's kind of like with what's his name in Split.
Roles so freaking well that you can't pick.
You look at him and you're like, this guy could kill everyone like right now, and not because of his action sequences in Assassin's Creed, because Assassin's Creed is the worst movie ever made. No, because he's a great actor. Like also the action sequences between the two of them was super. The action sequence at the end was super cool.
It's a little hard to follow, though.
Yeah, it
work was a bit
was.
shoddy for that part.
Well, it's like when you're working with two of the same actor, I feel like you kind of have to.
Yeah, you make it have to go faster. You'll
Yeah.
just notice the doubles. Yeah,
So
makes
you're gonna
sense.
give it to Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
Yeah, she was great.
Catherine Watterson, I believe, is her name.
I'm glad we didn't get another like kind of Prometheus style thing with her,
Yeah, Catherine Watterson.
where she's like, oh, I'm impregnated by another alien.
And then
It's
that was a visceral scene in
yeah,
Prometheus.
it didn't really bother me that much, to be quite honest.
Really? Okay.
But I'm kind of glad we didn't go that route. She was just like, I'm in survival mode. I'm gonna survive.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I thought there was I heard someone bring up like she goes from being like a kind of stock standard scientist to the end she's like a full out war hero. You know, she's like, tie me to this rope and I'm going to gun this thing down. But I guess Ripley kind of does the same thing.
I was going to say her character echoes Ripley.
She's like, Ripley's a trucker, essentially, an intergalactic trucker. And then aliens, she's running into the Queen and blowing stuff up. So that, I guess I can't. Okay, so you're going to give it to them? Okay.
Mm-hmm. And actually, another thing to talk about, there have been a lot, and I mean a lot of videos on YouTube about theories and stuff like that since the movie came out, which is nuts how many like I've seen personally, because I've like taken the time to sit down and watch them just because I'm so like into the mythos at this point.
Right.
It's interesting to see everyone's opinion about what's the character from Prometheus, the girl.
Numi Rapace, I forget her
character.
name. Yeah.
But her character, like, what happened to her? Because we learn that she dies in between the two. Mm-hmm. And, like, they're like, oh, she became a queen, or, like, the first iteration of a queen.
Right.
Because, like, her hologram didn't look fully human. It kind of had, like, that... Her head kind of started to shape like an alien.
Right.
A little bit on the flatter side, but... we're just led to believe that she became like the first of David's like gestation human pods outside of
and like you see her body kind of laying out, like he's preserved it to see it.
And he's done some experiments on it too.
Dr. Elizabeth Shaw is who she was. Shaw. Someone brought up, they're like, I don't think this was the movie Ridley Scott originally was going to make after Prometheus. Like, but then people complained about how there was no xenomorph. And there's in this movie, you don't get many questions answered. Like you really don't.
If anything, it just adds on to the pile.
Yeah, which I was kind of disappointed by. I think a lot of people expected, why were they going to send these aliens to Earth to kill us all? Ridley Scott actually answered that question in an interview. Do you want to know why?
Yes, I'm listening.
Okay, so what happened was 2,000 years ago, the engineers sent an engineer to Earth to try and get like people back on track and to being good and to
Is this doing what I think it's doing?
Yes, exactly what you think it's doing.
Please no.
And they ended up crucifying that engineer, and that engineer was Jesus.
Big old JC.
Yep. So that's man, that.
For an outspoken atheist, that man is really just...
He loves his God metaphors, doesn't he? He cannot get away. He is like a very devout atheist, which is fine, believe what you want. But
definitely.
But it's just it's interesting to see someone who has that belief system is kind of like so interested in like Christian metaphors, because there's like the captain who becomes the captain after James Franco becomes Space Barbecue is he's like, they didn't want me to lead the ship because I'm a man of faith, also in Prometheus, Numi Rapace, Elizabeth Shaw is a devout Christian, and she comes to see like her boyfriend's like, well, you need to put that cross away now because we know where we come from. Well, she's like, well, where do they come from? So like, there's a lot of religious imagery in his movies. So it's interesting to see that. Overall, I really, I like the cast. Fassbender was my favorite. He's the best part of most everything he's in. But he just did a great job. Okay, all right, listen. No one was good in Assassin's Creed.
Pushing those buttons.
I'm broken.
You
broke me.
Can't even
I can't even. I really like Danny McBride too. I think he was really relatable, but there's just some awesome scenes with Fassbender. The other cast is good. I just thought they both stuck out the most. All right, so the plot. What do you think of the plot?
About what I expected it to be.
Right.
Any
big twists and turns or anything?
The reveal of Shaw was kind of shocking.
Yeah.
In her like transformed state.
You know, that's something that people have brought up, and I kind of support. Okay, so David impregnates her essentially. Well, gives her boyfriend the alien.
Oh, this is the first time.
Yeah, in Prometheus, but so like he gives her the alien, and they give it through having relations or whatever, and then she's impregnated with the alien, right? So that happens, and then he at the end is like, hey, I can help you fly this thing out of here, and he's like, he seems like a nice guy at the end. You're like, oh, okay, that guy David, he's not so great of a guy, but he's not a bad guy, and then he just kills her, like.
Mm-hmm.
We're just gonna get this out of the way. You shouldn't be listening if you haven't seen it, but David is the worst guy.
Well, he's not even a guy; he's a robot.
He's the worst. Anything like he's trying to destroy the human race. But what
he's pretty much trying to do what the creators failed at doing.
Right. So what David does, and this is the interesting part of the plot. I think we start to realize that this alien is. The alien that was created by the engineers is just the first alien, and David starts to experiment on biology and things like that until he comes up with what he believes is the best the perfect being, the best creation ever made,
which turns out to be the xenomorph.
And that turns out to be the xenomorph. So it is revealed that David, the synthetic that was created by humans, ends up creating the thing that essentially is like a detriment to our species. Should I do another theme song?
No.
Sorry about that, guys. We actually had a mess up with some of the Wi-Fi connections, but we're
totally
back,
me.
baby.
It was totally my.
It was Haste. It's all Haste's fault.
I didn't know.
Make sure
I was
and
gonna lose Wi-Fi.
Make fun of him. Send him derogatory
Send me some
memes.
Sick burns.
Yeah.
Tell me I'm terrible. For my past that I had no control over. Man, there's a bit of backstory behind that, but okay.
Please do. Yeah. Okay. All right. So we were talking about how the xenomorphs were created as like the perfect beings, and I stated, which I'm probably going to cut this part out when I stated it, so I can get a response from you, that David probably went crazy because Peter Wayland made him get up in the middle of playing a beautiful piano piece and pour him tea, which was sitting right next to him.
Yeah, that was a bit of a jerk move.
So that's probably why he went.
Hey, you do your job.
That
was like the android version of the really sexist phrase, "Get in the kitchen and make me a sandwich." Which I am not for in any way, shape, or form. Just putting it out there. I'm only using that as a pivot point to make my point.
You're sexist, aren't you?
Never.
Yeah, no,
I would never.
It kind of is. It's like, you're just a robot, so just do whatever I say. But and they realized that was the problem with David was we made him too much like.
But like you said before,
he's gonna turn against us.
Like,
and guess what?
Like you were saying before, though,
he does.
He at that moment, Wayland should have been like, "Oh no, I've gone too far.
We really screwed up.
We've gone too far.
Back to the drawing board. This thing's definitely human and hates us already.
Scrap
Man, we suck."
Boy.
Yeah, I agree. He should have done that. So, I did think the cast was great. I really, really enjoyed it. But the scientists are all idiots. Let me just get that out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
I still have my catalog nature box tab up on my...
and the only scientist that really made sense in the end was the Fantastic Beasts lady.
Yeah, she was the only one. She's like, no. Let's go to the planet that we had planned on. But this is why the scientists are idiots. Ready? Okay. So they find a planet that's really like Earth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Good. So let's just not wear helmets.
Yeah.
It's not like there's any alien pathogens that... Oh, wait. There is.
That's exactly what happened.
Oh, my gosh. It was like... And like they hear it. Like when they... Like 2 minutes when they get out of the freaking spaceship. They're like, do you hear that? They're like, what? Nothing. There's no living life on this planet.
Yeah. You think at what point would you be
There's
like,
a
oh,
sign.
this is a bad idea?
And then, no. Go stick your head over the thing. It's quite safe. The evil robot tells you. And then, of course, he gets a face hugger on his face. A face hugger to the
like,
face.
Oh, hey, look in there. It'll be great.
It'll be fine. See, in the first Alien, it makes sense because they're told we
curious.
have to do this. They're like, yeah, okay, well, I guess we have to do this. We're being routed by our company.
Mm-hmm.
So they go and they check it out, and and they had helmets and they were looking around and stuff like that. Even the guy in Alien, he has a helmet on, but it just burns through the helmet. They just go out with no helmets. And
at least in Prometheus, they started with helmets.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Not to defend their stupidity, though. They had done the readings that the oxygen levels were appropriate. It still doesn't excuse it, because they should have been as careful as humanly possible.
But that guy actually did have a helmet on. The one who stuck his head over the thing and gets like a kind of a type of face hugger on his face. He still had a helmet on because he left it on, so he's not as stupid. But still, they shouldn't have taken their helmets off for forever until they figured out that they didn't have any. There weren't any like deadly pathogens waiting to go in their ear and then burst out of their backs and then
out their
they're
mouths.
just some dumb. It's like they're scientists, so it's like you'd think they would know better, but then there's no plot without it. So I guess. That's how it is.
Let's talk about something from the movie that kind of struck me as odd. You think of the Alien movies, you think of a lot of just like violence and visceral and gore and stuff like that. I kind of thought this movie was a little on the tame side.
I agree.
I'm not complaining about it because it did a good job with what it had and it didn't go overboard, which I really respect.
Right.
But I expected more.
Right. I'd say probably the most visceral, not to use, I'm just copying your word. Guess what? I'm not going to look up a synonym. I'm not going to do it.
Gory, there you go.
I'm not going to look up a synonym for visceral because if I would have to stall like I'm doing now to look up one.
We would never.
There's not any good synonyms on Google, so stupid Google. Anyway, the most visceral, gory visceral scene that we saw was, would you say when it burst out of the guy's back, kind of? The spike shot out, and it bursted out of his back, and then one of the scientists tried to fight it in the medical bay.
I'd say it was probably when she was trying to fight it and it was like clawing her face off.
Right.
Now, granted, we didn't like see that full shot, and they never even showed us her face after that, but we assumed she just got like tore asunder by it. So,
right.
That was probably like the most blood-filled scene.
Yeah. I think that was the most. For me, that was the most, even more so than when the actual xenomorph kind of shoots out of the guy and it starts to grow and stuff.
Or the scene where the neomorph attacks the lady when she's getting washed up. That was pretty.
Oh yeah, that was
brutal.
That was because her head gets chopped off, doesn't it?
Yeah, it ends up in the little thing she was washing off
pool, yeah.
But then we cut back to her body later, and like half of it's been eaten, and
right.
Gosh, yeah, I forgot about that scene because
that scene is.
Yeah.
But again, it's few and far between, and I think it's done. I think Ridley Scott does a good job at having tasteful gore. You know,
there's a difference between it and like modern horror, where it's just like bloodbath. I'm not saying this wasn't a bloodbath because it was.
Yeah. No,
but
it was.
That's wrong because it was a tasteful bloodbath.
Yeah, a tasteful bloodbath. You got your little lemonade. You got with the umbrella.
Out. You got your pinky out.
Yeah, your pinky out. Maybe you're having some tea and crumpets, and you're taking a tasteful bloodbath.
Oh, sounds so gross.
All right. So moving on. So the plot, it's pretty straightforward. It's interesting, I think, in parts. But again, once it starts, you know where it's going. Second act for me, dragged.
Okay, between which parts are you talking about?
I'm talking about when they're in, like, essentially when David finds them and tells them to follow them. Like, I think that is an interesting part, and I was interested, but I felt like there's not as much stuff. Like, there's not as, how do I describe it? The more of the transition from Act 1 to Act 2, I think, drug out kind of.
Yeah, I can see that.
Or sorry, Act 2 to Act 3, because it's like you have this whole sequence, this really long sequence when they're in that building, that alien building, yeah.
Like the Capitol building kind of thing.
It's like it wants to drag into Act 3, but it's this slow build. And I didn't think it was bad. I just think that another film goer who maybe isn't as invested in these characters or in like the lore moving in from Prometheus might be like, okay, let's get this thing going. Where's the alien? Where's the xenomorph? Let's kind of, So I think that I can see that, but it kind of did drag a little bit, but it's interesting to me,
Well, to kind of go off what you said, I went with a buddy of mine from church, and we went to a 9:00 showing. So by the time we got to the second act, it was pushing 10:00, 10:20ish, maybe, give or take.
Right.
And there was a person a couple seats down from us that fell asleep, which my friend quickly corrected. But yeah,
right.
It just shows that it did drag on a little bit in that part.
Yeah,
and I'm over here like,
also,
wait, this lady's getting eaten alive. How are you asleep?
Yeah. I've fallen asleep in movies, but they haven't been good movies that I was really interested in seeing. Like, I think I fell asleep in the reboot of Total Recall.
Never saw
with Colin Firth. It wasn't good. Don't see it.
Okay.
I'll just Colin Farrell, rather, not Colin Firth.
Colin Firth.
Yeah.
Nope, it's Colin Firth
okay,
now.
So what did you what did you think of the twist at the end? Did you see it coming a mile away?
Which twist? The one where David locks her in the pot at the end?
It's David, and it's not actually.
Oh no, I freaking knew the instant.
Maybe I'm an idiot because I did not see that.
The instant we saw him,
oh, it's the most obvious thing in the world.
The instant we saw him fixing his face, I'm like, yep, that's totally David in Walter's body, or at least David wearing Walter's face. Or
see, when he ran out, I just assumed, and then whenever he's helping Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them in Hot Rod. Whenever he's helping
the cryosleep pods.
Into the thing, I'm like, oh, it must. Well, when he's helping them run away from the xenomorph and they're listening, I'm like, oh, it must be Walter. I didn't even think about it because his hand was cut off.
I think you fell for what the producers were trying to do. They were trying to show you that he was acting as Walter with his own little sick kind of twist built into it.
Right, and I'm like, and then he gets this little smile.
Which
I'm
they
like,
did.
Oh my gosh!
Did. Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh! Walter has fallen for what David, David, he got to him. Like what David kept trying to say, like continuing saying, look, you need to be able to create. You need to be able to be apart from the humans. They've just taught you to be this one way. You can't create anything. And so I'm like, oh man, Walter's he got to him, and then. At the end, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them is talking to Walter, quote unquote, and he's like, I guess will you help me build my lake house? And he's like, what? And then she realizes it's David. And I was like, oh man, that's really, apparently I'm an idiot because one in the universe.
You don't have to tell me that. I've known you long enough to know.
Hey, listen, you're supposed to say no. No, but apparently everyone saw that, and maybe I wasn't thinking about it. I was like, oh, he didn't have a hand. And I think I fell for. You're right. I think I fell for what Ridley Scott. I don't know who wrote this. What they were wanting. We're gonna think it's Walter, but he's maybe got David got to him a little bit and told him to be more allow himself to create and do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
So. But I was wrong. It's David, and now David's going to destroy the world. I'm like, you know what I thought at the end of this? I'm like, how is anyone going to live? How are there any humans left? Every time someone goes to colonize a place or visit somewhere, there's a freaking alien on the ship.
Yeah. And you also have to ask yourself the question with the 2,000 people on board, what size army is he creating
Exactly.
Because
Talk about Alien versus Predator,
is he
bro.
gonna like mass produce the aliens with what he's got on his on the Covenant? That's the big question.
Right, he must, because he had a couple of those, and the face huggers, and then the face huggers can just make more of those,
Yeah.
and then, yeah, I
Now,
don't know, man.
okay, this is probably my last point I'm going to make about the movie because we need to move on to
Mm-hmm.
what you watch and make because we're kind of running longer than normal.
True
Um,
that.
if one thing upset me, and this is something a lot of the YouTube videos that I mentioned earlier has pointed out,
Mm-hmm.
there were a lot of scenes that we saw in the commercials that were cut from the actual movie itself.
Yeah,
Like the
yeah, I
scene where
did notice that.
she's like, "Where is this thing, Mother?" And Mother's like, "Oh, it's 5 meters above you." And
Yeah,
we're looking at it from or her from its view, and you're like, okay, that's kind of freaky, but
yeah.
yeah,
Do you think they cut? See, it wasn't. It was not even. Maybe it was 2 hours on the dot. Because it wasn't a long movie. I feel like it's a shorter
I
Alien
think it was like
movie.
2 hours and like 10 or 15 minutes, maybe.
Let's see,
You,
2 hours
you
and 3 minutes.
oh wow,
Yeah, so it was right at like 2 hours almost, and so I felt like they could have added some more stuff to either explain or, like you said, added a little more suspense, and it wouldn't have drug out the
Mm-mm.
time to where it would have been too long or it would have dragged more.
No,
So
because if anything, the only real like, other than them running away from it, the only like interaction we got between Tennessee and Fantastic Beasts was the hangar scene where they freaking skewered out the airlock.
yeah, that was really cool. I really
Hmm.
enjoyed that scene.
If
I felt like that was on par with Aliens with
yeah,
the mech suit or the mech thing.
yeah, I think that's what it was kind of trying to like recreate in its own way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And again, I promise this is my actual last point now.
Sure.
It was kind of heartbreaking though. Like, okay, you said it was a twist for you when you realized that it was David.
Right.
It was heartbreaking when you realize that, or when she realizes that it's David. When she's
Yeah,
getting put in the cryosleep chamber and she starts freaking out, you're like,
she
oh,
suffered enough.
it's like,
Like,
oh, my heart is breaking.
yeah, like she suffered enough. I heard someone say, like, you know what you should have done? Strapped a bomb to his chest, said, hey, remember that cabin thing we talked about? And ask him to answer like 2 questions. If he answers them wrong, blow him up because he's not Walter.
Yeah.
like, like
You think there'd be some safety protocols built in somewhere?
exactly. There, people pointed out the plot threads, but it is
Yeah, it raised
science
some
fiction, and
questions about
there's
why the ship answered to David.
exactly. But I feel like David was smart enough to do something programming wise to allow that to happen, or
Yeah,
um,
totally.
something like that. So I guess I can kind of forgive that, but it was heartbreaking, and it was like, oh man, she's
Because
had a really
Tennessee
bad
was
time. Her
already
husband
asleep.
died. Yeah, Tennessee was already asleep. Her husband died, but
And she had that like
you know,
sickening realization, and she had like no one to lean on in that moment, minus herself falling
yep.
asleep. And David's just casually leaning over a pod, putting his finger over his mouth to do the
Mm-hmm.
like shh kind of thing. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh,
And then he has Mother turn on the entrance into Valhalla
yeah,
by Ozymandias, and he
yeah.
walks through like, I own all this. Yeah. Again, a lot of like religious metaphors all over the place.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Anyway, I liked it. Visuals, we already talked about them. They're amazing. They're great.
Cast we talked
Beautiful
about already,
film.
which was good,
Cast, we talked about film overall. Great plot. Interesting, familiar, but interesting and enjoyable.
but nothing new
Um,
in the world of Alien,
yes,
really.
exactly.
Which is
Exactly.
okay. It's okay.
That's okay. I would like to see in the next one something a bit different. Like I'd be okay with like a straight up action movie. Like people figure out, okay, David is creating this alien army. We've got to stop him. And it's say like it's young Ripley or Ripley's daughter or something who
Mm-hmm.
like has to stop these aliens, cuz what I'm assuming, cuz in Alien they're truckers. So you assume that there's dozens of planets that
I
people
get here's
now
what I get.
habitate.
I get the
Mhm.
feeling that the planet they were originally heading to is the planet from the first Alien.
It's not. They mention the name, and it's like the alien planet from Alien. It's LV-426. LV-426. Yeah. Um, and like they were heading to Alien Covenant. Coven. This is podcasting at its best right here. Planet. Okay, let's see. Where were they heading? They're heading to Oragai 6 is where they were heading.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I think that they'll end up. They have to have the same ship and the same stuff to end up with like where it's left off at Alien.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
And also it can't be what I just suggested. I just figured that out because they don't have any record of aliens like the ship in Alien. Remember, they're just like they don't. It's not like really made clear if they've had alien contact or anything. So they don't know what they are. But yeah, I'd be interested to see something a bit different in the next one.
Yeah, definitely.
Overall, what rating do you give it?
I give it a 9 out of 10.
Oh, wow, you're going up. I really enjoyed it, but I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 because I think there were some things that just didn't quite hit the mark for me. Prometheus is like an 8 out of 10 for me, so I didn't quite like it as much as Prometheus, but who knows, actually, I might like it more.
I'm gonna back my rating up a little bit. I'm gonna give it an 8.5. Not to be that guy, but
man, you're just all over the place. How can I ever believe anything you say?
I sat here and thought for like half a second. I'm like, there were a couple plot points kind of popped in my head that I really just kind of was like, hold on.
Right, I feel you.
But again, it's for an alien movie. It doesn't do anything wrong.
It's better than Alien 3, I can tell you that.
All right, let's kick it into what you watching, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, what you watching, mate?
Oh, you can go first since you probably have more.
All right, I have a few. All right, so a couple days ago, was it yesterday? No, Wednesday.
I don't know.
We're recording this on Friday. I tried to watch Alien 3 because I've heard that it's not terrible. It's fine. I've seen Alien and Aliens numerous times. It's fine. Like there's some interesting character points, I guess, in it. But like David Fincher, the director, who's gone on to do amazing stuff, Fight Club, Seven, a few other things, like critically acclaimed movies, has like renounced it. He's like, this is not my movie. The studio jacked it up. It's just boring. Like there's a lot of build up, and it doesn't feel much like an Alien film. And also, the shots that weren't close up, people thought it was like early CGI because I think it came out in 91, I want to say.
Oh, geez, a little bit older than me.
It was actually a puppet on green screen. So they filmed these shots, 1992. They filmed these shots of this puppet on a green screen, and then they digitally added the puppet on green screen into these shots.
That's freaking
really weird, so weird, isn't it? Yeah. So anyway, it's I didn't finish it. Maybe you know what? I'm probably just gonna read the Wikipedia synopsis. And I've heard that. What's the third one?
I thought that was
Alien. No, fourth one. Alien. Hold on. Where's sequel? Sequel. Let's see. Adaptations, home media. Come on, Wikipedia. Where's sequel? I can't find it. Whatever.
Alien 4. Just call it Alien 4.
Yeah, Alien Resurrection. I've heard that there's some better-ish stuff in that. I'm not sure if I even want to watch it. So I watched that. Or I didn't watch that. I finally finished Iron Fist. It's not very good. I hope he's better.
Did it get a little bit better?
A little bit. You know what I did the last like 3 episodes? I'm like they go to they're talking in a room for like 4 or 5 minutes. I'm like, yep, skip. Nope. I understood the entire plot after skipping most of the last 3 episodes.
You got to give him the main dad, the villain dad in the show some credit though. He did really well, I think.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings was pretty good. He looks a lot older than he did in Lord of the Rings, which makes sense because it's like 16, 17 years after. But yeah, he was very menacing, but he was also
he did some pretty brutal stuff.
Yeah, I didn't see him as a character almost like cuz
he's kind of like a ghost.
He's scenery chewing. Yeah, kind of like.
But I think that's kind of what they meant him to. I think that's kind of what they meant him to be, like an apparition.
Yeah.
That no one really knew existed except for this like handful of characters.
Right. And also it just it this is just a gripe that I have with the characterization, not the show necessarily, because the show could have been great and this still would have happened.
Mm-hmm.
He sucked. Like, he's the worst superhero. Literally, he had trouble beating a regular guy with a gun. Like, that was his difficulty. One guy with a gun, no superpowers, kind of immortal, but if you kill him, like if you like incinerate him, he will die. So just knock him out and then incinerate him. Like,
Man, that's a weird Achilles heel. Set him on fire and it'll fix it.
yeah, well, getting rid of his body. So like, it's
Yeah.
just like I'm like, you're not good, Danny Rand. You're an idiot. Anyway, I finished Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. This last episode was really good. It drug probably past 3 episodes I didn't love. They went into this Matrix style virtual reality, which I felt kind of took the show down. And then Ghost Rider came back. In this last episode, I just watched it today. It's sweet, dude. There's some sweet moments with Ghost Rider and Quake, and he looks so good, man. Yeah, it's
you said that before when you first started watching it, that
yeah,
he looked really good.
yeah. And then I'm gonna watch Guardians again. I haven't gotten back to see it. I might watch Pirates. I'm gonna kind of base whether I go see it based on what you say. And then obviously excited to see Wonder Woman. Hoping it's good.
Mm-hmm.
Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot. All right, let's hear. What you watching, mate?
Also, here in the next couple weeks, I'm really hoping that It Comes at Night is coming to a theater close to me, because I will be in that theater in a heartbeat. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Kind of off of what you were saying, I watched Jessica Jones at last. I'm not finished with it. I think I have 2 or 3 episodes left.
What do you think?
I don't know.
Say that one more time. Oh.
It's just not to... Okay, I'm sorry, listeners. I'm going to be a little crass here for a second. It's just her and Luke Cage having sex every 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's the first few episodes. But
I feel like it continues on. It continues on.
It doesn't. There's like, it happens, I want to say second episode, and then
like 6 episodes later, they like break the bed having sex.
Yeah, and then like the 4th episode, they're quick scenes, so you can skip past them real quick.
It's still kind of annoying though.
Yeah, it doesn't really focus on that.
Not like 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah. That's fair enough. That's kind of the character. Like I don't think they overdo it. But that is kind of the character.
Also, not to complain about the girl that's playing Jessica Jones, but she kind of plays the same character in every show she's ever been in.
Does she? I've only seen her in that. Is she kind of typecast as like the...
Her character in Breaking Bad's pretty much the same, because she's a giant druggie in that.
She's kind of like a rough around the edges type.
She did a show a couple years ago that lasted like 2 seasons called Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment 23 on ABC. I didn't actually watch it, but just from the previews, I kind of got like the same feel.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's pretty typecast, to be quite honest.
Okay.
And honestly, her character just... While I do like her like development and stuff, she's still pretty... Man, you're all the problem. I'm not the problem. Everything around me sucks.
Right.
Everything sucks.
She does a good job as Jessica Jones, though, because I'd say Jessica Jones isn't quite as rough as her. Yeah. But
I honestly have never... This is my first exposure to Jessica Jones.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, if you read any of the Marvel Max stuff, I don't think it's quite as sexual. There's a lot of language in it. It's more R in a sense of there's a lot of language in it. But that's what she's from, is the Marvel Max stuff. That being said, it does explore some interesting themes that we don't really see in a lot of the other shows. Kind of like sexual abuse and stuff like that, and so it's not an easy watch.
No, it's really
I'll
not.
just say that. Yeah,
it's pretty dark. David Tennant's great.
Yeah. Oh, he does such a good job.
His character's kind of annoying though.
Yeah. Yeah, he can read your mind. Real annoying. Yeah. No, it is really annoying. Okay. All right. What else you watching?
I saw Pirates last night, which...
Yeah, let me hear about it.
I feel like Pirates and Jessica Jones is really all I've watched. All right. The previews don't really give you a whole lot of backstory to Um,
Mm-hmm.
the
Are you
main,
doing spoilers?
not really.
Okay.
We
Well,
get
just
a
keep it on spoilers because I might
yeah,
see
yeah,
it.
yeah. We get a little. We don't really get any backstory to the main villain, which what
Right.
you find out what happens during the movie, which is like
Mm-hmm.
nothing what you expect to like happen based on the previews. You kind of
Okay.
going and expecting like, oh, this is kind of Pirates One all over again, but
Mm-hmm.
it's really not. And while there are some parts I kind of enjoyed because the visuals were kind of stunning,
Uh-huh.
it felt like a non-pirates movie trying to be a pirates movie. As odd as that sounds.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
In what sense?
I was I got maybe 30 or so minutes in the movie. I'm like, I'm trying to feel like this is a pirates movie, but I'm just
And it
not
just didn't
feeling it.
feel like it.
Yeah,
Okay.
which I
Okay.
mean, after what this was the fifth movie.
It's a fifth movie, yeah.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense why they're kind of like said in that text last night. It's kind of losing the magic.
Yeah, we both kind of agreed they've gone downhill from the first one. The first one's great. Great movie, just
I'd say
super
honestly,
fun.
to the end of the third one. I mean, it's a solid trilogy.
Okay.
But
See,
then,
I thought the next two were hit or
if
miss.
if
Like there were
anything that
parts that
really
were
bugged
good.
me is that they drug on Davy Jones for two movies
Yeah, I
when
did not like
he could have
that.
been a quick slap and paste into the next
That
villain
being
kind of
said,
thing.
that tentacle effect looks amazing
Oh
still,
yeah,
and that's
even
like
still to
10
this
years
day.
ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. But yeah, I'm gonna give it maybe like a 4.5, 5 out of 10.
Okay. Okay.
It
Lowest
I wanted
lowest
to
one we've seen, and well, actually, I gave it as Assassin's Creed like a 0 out of 10. So,
yeah, I
um,
really wanted to love it. I really tried to enjoy it. And from what I heard earlier this week, the kid. Okay, this is the only spoiler, but it gives away in the trailer. The kid that plays Will Turner's son, which is who the movie's based
Brendan
around.
Thwaites.
Yeah, he
Hmm.
apparently signed on to do more movies. So
So, well,
we're
everyone does that. Like whenever
yeah,
an actor signs a contract, they generally sign on to do as many sequels,
yeah.
as they
Which
can.
from what I heard, it's going to be kind of more of like a reboot, not necessarily a reboot, but more of just like a continuation, kind of like Star Wars did with Seven,
Right.
without going back and doing prequels.
Yeah. Dude, I feel like the hype for this has died and it's been dead for kind of a while.
Well, they also took
So,
6 years between um, On Stranger
8.
Tides. Oh, it was 8 years between On Stranger Tides
8.
and this.
Yeah, On Stranger Tides came out in '09.
Oh
Sorry,
gosh,
6, you're right. 2011. I thought it was '09. Yeah. Do you know how much the budget for this movie was?
no, not a clue. I haven't.
$230 million.
I bet you almost all of it went to Johnny Depp.
Probably. Like that's not even the biggest. At World's End was 300 million. Um
That was the
uh
third movie, right?
yeah, On Stranger Tides, ready?
Five
Ready?
hundred.
$410 million.
Holy
It made over a
crap!
billion. That being said, that's still, oh my gosh, these movies just have enormous budgets. Dead Man's Chest, 225 million. It made more too. It also was a better movie. Anyway, they make money. Their budgets are just
They're
so
cash cows at
enormous.
this point,
Yeah, exactly.
which is
I heard
unfortunate.
someone say, I heard someone say that that whenever a Pirates movie focuses on Johnny Depp too much, instead of having him as like this side character who's really great and really funny, and he's following the adventure instead of the adventurer following him, it works a
Hmm.
lot better.
Which this one, I feel like it kind of had that Guardians 2 vibe where he wasn't like the central character, but it was still all like revolving around him.
Okay.
But
Okay.
it's still focused on him just enough for it to kind of, like you said, fall short because of it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Well,
But yeah.
I might go see it. I haven't decided. Like, I remember being so stoked to see the second one, and I enjoyed all of them when I was younger, and then I saw the fourth one, and I think I had seen enough movies by then to be like, this isn't very good.
Yeah,
Um,
I kind of. Oh, there is a after credits scene. Just gonna throw that out there.
okay. All right. I might
But
see it. I might see it. I feel like Pirates of the Caribbean has kind of become a staple of culture, even
mhm.
though they're not all that great. Like,
Oh yeah.
you know, because it is the tale of Captain Jack Sparrow.
Oh gosh, that Lonely Island song. Just gonna
Yeah.
stop you right there.
Yeah. All right.
Give
Well,
me one
cool.
hot second. Let me think for just a moment about stuff that
A moment. Here,
I've consumed.
I'll do another. I'll do another theme song.
No, okay. Not necessarily television or movie. Um, you know, um, okay. Are we considering like entertainment at this point our big thing?
Yeah. Who
Does
cares?
it matter
Just
the
do
media
whatever
it's
you want
delivered
to.
in? Okay,
I say just do whatever you want to.
okay. You for one know I'm a huge fan of the band Falling Up,
Yes, I do.
and I
Yep.
sent you and Norris the link to the audiobook Hours that is tied to one of their albums. They were released together.
Yes, you
The
did. Yeah.
audiobook is like a more fleshed out version of the story Hours is telling, and
Okay.
it's narrated by the lead singer, or this book is read by the lead singer of Falling Up, which I think makes it that much cooler because he wrote it.
Okay. Okay.
But this is like my fourth or fifth time going back and listening to it, and
Mm.
it's just so cool. I mean, it's cool to
Really?
see one of
Is
my
it a
favorite bands.
novel?
Yeah, it's a novella.
Okay.
It's all audiobook, which kind of sucks, but
What's the
I mean,
premise of it?
okay, it's based around these kids in an orphanage
Mm-hmm.
that get into a contract, which so they're in like their 6th year,
Uh-huh.
and every 6th year, and for like them in a decade before them, are given an area of the school that no one knows about until they're in year 6, other than the admins of the orphanage,
Mm-hmm.
access to like this gymnasium, and they're they're like, okay, what are we gonna do with this? And they learn that every year before them played quote unquote games that would kind of push the boundaries of their contract,
Mm-hmm.
and it's them. This class that we follow essentially becomes like the pinnacle of everything that
Okay.
all the other years have kind of like built up to. So it's like every class before set the foundation, but this class becomes because of what they accomplish, becomes the like penultimate class. And
Okay.
but there's also a lot of like, oh gosh, I want to go into this without giving away too much of the story, just because it's that good.
Okay.
Um, it's not it's not a fun, like, okay, that's a lie. It's a fun listen, but it's not an easy listen because
Right.
it is pretty dark and grim. It's kind of sci-fi, which I think is
Okay.
which is why I keep sending it to you, because I feel like you're going to enjoy it, because it is really
Okay.
sci-fi like esque in terms of what goes
What's
on
the
in the
name of
story.
it? What's the name of the novella
It's called
again?
Hours, and
Hours.
I think
Okay.
I sent it to you and Norris in the
That's
text
right.
group
You did.
text.
You did.
If you want me to, I can forward it to you after this. I have it like
I
tagged
think I
on
still
my.
have it somewhere.
Okay, well, just if honestly anyone, if you like good story, um, I just say give it a listen. If you don't like it, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's another medium that we've never really gone into before here,
Right.
and
Yeah. Absolutely.
it's the only way you can like consume this. It's not like no one's taken the time to sit down and type it all out. He hasn't released a physical copy, and
Okay.
I don't really think he ever will, just because
Mm-hmm.
it's tied to Falling Up, and Falling Up has finally gone away, which
Right.
sad in
Right.
of itself. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's another delivery of media that we've never discussed here on
Okay.
Movie Fellas. So
Cool.
yeah,
I finished listening to a book. It was called The United as One. It was the last in a sci-fi series. The first book was called I Am Number Four, a really crappy movie produced by Michael Bay. Came out. It's fun. They're fun books. There's nothing super exciting about them. They're sci-fi
hmm,
books, but anyway, we are in almost an hour and a half in, so I feel like there's no better time to close it out than right now.
I feel you.
Haste, there are a couple things I want to discuss real quick. Um, like I said towards the beginning of the podcast, I did change our Facebook and YouTube name to just MovieFellas. That's MovieFellas, capital M and capital F, because we are going to be doing some reviews on just some movies. So make sure and look us up on YouTube. That's MovieFellas, and look us up on Facebook, and that is just going to be MovieFellas as well. We are on Twitter as at MovieFellasPod, and on Gmail as MovieFellasPod@gmail.com. Guys, give us a like, give us a follow, comment on our stuff. We love corresponding with you guys the 2 times that has happened.
Oh, yeah. Hey, some is better than nothing.
Yeah, that's correct. We love hearing from you guys, so send us some dank memes or some sweet disses.
Insult me for whatever you want, because it's just the cool thing to do now.
That is, I do it all the time.
I know.
I wake up at 3 a.m. and send you texts with insults.
Might as well just throw everybody else onto the pile and just dog on me all you guys want.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I sing the theme song instead of just putting it in? If for any of those who don't know, I actually sang the theme song at the end. Maybe I'll cut that and put that at the end. No, we're not going to do that. But correspond with us, guys, if you want to. We'd love to hear from you. And we will see you in just a couple of weeks. Maybe we don't know what we're doing, but it'll be our 11th episode. We're venturing into our second decade of podcasting.
We're making the bad choice and going to a planet we've never seen before.
That's right. But it has great signs. But we don't need helmets. Who needs helmets? We're scientists.
Helmets? We could get infected and have our bodies explode from various parts. Who knows? We'd have monsters burst out of our limbs and mouth and back and front and sides and middle, and just keep going for days. Burst out of our toes, our
body
hips.
Parts. All right, guys. We will see you in a couple weeks. Gladiate it up.
Bye, everybody. Love you.
Peace out.
Bye.